Hey traders, Nick Shaheen here, recapping the week ending 8/24. Record-setting week. This is the S&P. A lot of lines, so this is where we are. This is a new all-time high to my eyes. Depends where we close. This could be also a closing all-time high, which is back here. When was that? January 26th, just before the correction. So let's zoom in. 6 months, maybe. Okay, that works. About 3 months. That works better. Okay, so we've kind of traced out quite a few moves, and we predicted options ups or downs, and they kind of all came to fruition. And here we are. So the bulls are definitely in control. Friday, we have a big rally. All the markets are up. Even gold is up. Can you believe it? Because the dollar is down. And because we had an event, Powell came out and said nothing new. In fact, he was saying, pretty much said what Yellen was doing, which is we're not going to surprise anybody. We're still waiting and watching, and there's nothing alarming here or there. Everybody was, there was a whole bunch of, quote, experts that were worried about him digging in his heels in spite of Trump, because Trump said he doesn't like what he's doing. I thought that was not going to happen, because if he did, well, they said they don't want people to think that Trump influenced him. Well, if he acted differently than he would have, then Trump would have influenced him. So it was a ridiculous notion. Nevertheless, bulls are in charge. We haven't closed, I'm afraid, because we are way up here. And I think the best way to see it, how high we are, is through the small caps. That is a scary chart for me. It is not an obvious long entry chart. That's the only scary part about it, is that a wedge like that tends to get tired, and if it does, they would want to check back to somewhere around here. Why? Just to look at testing the neckline from which they broke out. So we did chart it, said this is a possibility, and it came true. So I'm not calling it a fall. Like here, it didn't come. There was a wedge, and they went higher. They eventually gave it up. So every wedge I've seen gives it up. And this has been the target for a while. I can't make this stuff up. Okay, we drew this a long time ago, and this is where we are. So bullish day. The week is also bullish. Let me bring you a picture. Here it is. So that's the S&P. That's the NASDAQ. It's not a record yet, but give it time. That's the small caps. That's a record on the IWM. So industrials are up. The banks are up. The Dow is up. FANG is nice. The bonds are finding support. And by the way, this is a bullish trend for the bonds. I said let's sell credit put spreads under the current levels for bonds, because their rates are not going anywhere. That's a year-long statement, by the way. I'm going to sell credit put spreads throughout the year for bonds. If Draghi raises rates, then the bonds will crash, and I'll lose money. But until then. And this is what? The VIX. The VIX is down. So let's close that one. All right, so back to what's at hand. So next week, there's nothing other than economic reports, hopefully scheduled. China tariffs, we had issues this week, and they kind of caused a little tizzy. But for as long as I can tell, the bulls are still in charge without any new information. Headlines, new information about the economy. This is the VIX, VXX. It's a derivative of the VIX. This is pretty low, so we might see it's pretty tight. So there could be a move coming. I can't tell you which way it'll go. It all depends on the headline. But this will do that or this. So I favor a spike into next week without any headlines. This is the S&P. That's my opinion. But it's somewhat binary at this point. And if I have profits, I book them, or I trim them, or I protect them somehow. All right, so we've looked at the day and the week. And next week, there's nothing extraordinary except we look at the charts. In the write-up for the premium members, I will also include a bunch of trades and trade updates that we've had. The good news today is Netflix. Why do I care about Netflix? A, it's tracing my chart exactly how we drew it. But because of this poke right there and this poke, and this is an emphatic bottom. And this, more importantly, is a good rabbit for the whole economy, for the whole stock market. Why? Because it's as frothy as it gets. People hate it, like Tesla. They love to hate it because fundamentals don't pencil in. They spend so much money and they don't make a lot of money. They burn cash and all of that. So if it's catching a bid, then there is no real fear. But this is an important spot for Netflix. I wasn't meaning to do this, but I'll do it since it's here. Okay, so if I look at here, this was a prior poke and a big ledge. That's a big accident and used to be big support and fell apart. I think this whole drop was like 22% or something like that. So on the way up, I see it for 400 in a few months, kind of like Amazon, but it needs the market to be up as well. So if the market has a tizzy next week, this could be a top for a while. So this might come back to cover this gap. I'm not sure, but if I'm long, I stay long, maybe trim a little bit. And I did add a long position, but I'll write it up. All right. Nick signing out. If you have any questions, let me know.